Welcome to Rauta's Underground Trio episode. This time, once again, we have three bands from the underground. Bands of different age and stage, and also different styles. First, let's go through these three in alphabetical order and 10 in worst to best order, according to my own opinion. First, a quick look on the packaging and name and style. First, we have Adarrak with a debut album, Oriente. This is from Singapore, and the style is melodic death metal. Then we have from Finland, Scythrow, kind of a wordplay with the third album, Blameless, Extremities. This is old school death metal. And finally, to Germany with Total Hate, with the new 2024 album, Forthcoming, Age of the Reaper, black metal. Now let's shuffle them a bit and let's change the order from worst to best. Once again, according to my own opinion, feel free to disagree. Scythrow is the first one here. This is a very new band from 2019, if I remember correctly. And during those years, the band has been putting out three albums. The pace has been quite quick. I'm not even sure if this is actually newer than that. Was this even 2022? Anyhow, the point here is, within only a few years, three albums. Between the first and second album, there was only like an 18 months time span, and another 18 months, give or take, with the second and third album, and there was even EP in the middle. So these guys have definitely pushed the pedal to the metal to the pedal, however you want to put it. Anyway, point is that these guys have putting out lots of material, maybe even too much for their own good, because to be honest, Blameless, Severed Extremities is not even very good of an album. That doesn't mean that this album is without its merits. Actually, it has the kind of a vibe that if this had come out, say, 1992 or so, there would have been waves. This could be now seen as a death metal legend from the time. Now, while this is old school death metal, it doesn't really go as far as to 80s, but early 90s and you're good to go. Meaning, the guys know that they are doing the kind of riffs which may sound very retro, but it's also like taking a time capsule from the past. It's just like going back to the early or mid 90s and doing old school death metal. Kind of a dark, somewhat brutal, but not really the brutal death metal ways. I mean, as far as we consider death metal to be brutal these days. But back in the days, this could have been really coming from the same department as to all the immolations and incantations and a lot of American death metal bands to begin with. Not exactly your Morbid Angels or Deaths in terms of, the given style. I mean, I wouldn't really compare this to bands, say, Obituary and the like. But there's something very, very American with the given album. And while it is nicely done, nothing really here sticks. It's not like one of those albums that gets you addicted because it's new, different, or just has a, mind-blowingly good riffs or songs. Everything here is nicely done, and these guys seem to understand what old school death metal is made of. But let's be honest about it. There's nothing actually that you would rather listen to this one than, say, some of those old 1990s classic. So while totally listenable and to some degree enjoyable, it's also quite forgettable in the sense of being just another old school retro sounding death metal. The production is kind of old school and it doesn't really help the band, to separate from the chaff. I mean, at least if you go old school, give it a little bit more powerful sound to say like, okay, these guys might not have the hit songs of the past, but at least the production is really like nailing it. Now it's just one of those bands that never made it big because it was just too basic. But let's see, maybe the band will actually hone their stuff and slow the pace down and figure out better riffs and songs altogether. The second band is from Singapore, Adarrak, and only one by this band. This is a few years old already, if I remember correctly. 21 release. Came already late to the party whenever this arrived, so it has been waiting for its turn patiently. But the band hasn't really put out anything new ever since, so it's as good as their latest album that's to be. Very fresh from the oven still, in that sense. Now, music-wise, this is something that you could imagine listening to something like Swedish death metal. It's somewhat melodic, somewhat catchy, and there is enough diversity to actually, raise attention. Like, okay, these guys are not definitely doing one song after another and sounding the same. So there's actually quite a bit of different ideas which are nicely blending in. And I gotta say, this production, especially for the first album, is definitely good, almost like very good, because the thing here is the band is not, obviously having the big band budget kind of a thing with the big label and all, but they are, able to sound like it's really, really nicely executed. Whatever you're talking about, melodics or nice guitar leads or just, the basic death metallic riffs with a melody in touch, as a flavor, seasoning, whatever you will. It sounds just something like, yeah, these guys are nailing all the right nails to the right place. Now, the only real complaint is that, once again, these songs are kind of a basic when it comes to, doing your first album. That is, they are not exactly, how to say, super good. They're very nice to listen to, and like I said, the diversity really, gives this a nice touch. But then again, you're still missing, like, where are the real killer songs? I wouldn't call this a filler album, but I'm still considering it a decent first album. So lots of nice ideas and proper, grown vocals and all, but just missing something. Where's Skid Row? What I forgot to mention, at least that has really good growl vocals, even if the songwriting isn't that good. Then after we go to Germany with the band, Oldest this time was founded in 2000. Ever since, this band has been putting out albums every few years. This is, if I remember correctly, the 5th album by the band, and the band is indeed called Total Hate. This is War Anthem Records release, and very fresh from the oven. Late November, almost December. I don't know why I mentioned January. We're not in January yet. And I've heard only one album prior to this one. It was like 2 albums ago, which was a decent album. Nothing bad to say about it, but nothing great either. And this is a step up from that. I get it why this is on Melodic listed as, with similar artists like Darkthrone and Graven, because there are these moments when you kind of remind of those bands. To be honest, I haven't been listening to Graven for so many years, but I remember it being like a kind of a good Darkthrone-ish band, and this also gives me a little bit of Darkthrone-ish feeling here and there. Maybe Carpathian Forest as well, because the audible bass is really bringing something else that is not so much evident in lots of black metal bands doing a little bit grim sounding. This is most in the fast pace kind of stuff, but not really the super fast blast beat kind of a thing, but definitely more on the energetic and fast paced stuff, which is then complemented with a lot of really good riffs, and especially the early parts of this album is like, yeah, this is sounding so much like the new wave of Norwegian black metal, when the sillier albums were already bygone, and the new wave of new bands were like storming in 2000s and all. So not exactly sounding like 90s, obviously. This is more modern sound overall. And overall, I would say this is a good album. By the way, if you noticed, there are no lyrics whatsoever. So pretty much all the, pages are filled with band photos and, well, these liner notes. Don't know if it matters to you, but just to let you know. All in all, I would say this Total Hate album is a good one, but it has a little bit too much of, so-called filler parts in order to really sound great. I mean, it really does the basic job very well. This is very, very pleasant to listen to. I gave it a few spins, and I'm saying I didn't get bored at all. But it is obvious that some songs, especially some of the first ones, really are better than towards the ends, or maybe it just gets a little bit, I wouldn't call it boring, but kind of like wearing you down in a way, because then again, there's not much variety with the given songs. But I mean, all in all, if you like bands like Darkthrone, Graven, whatsoever, see more in the similar artist tab what I mean, give this one a go. In my opinion, the best of this pile clearly, and one of the better black metal albums throughout the whole year 2024. As always, links are provided in the description box. So check out the bands, Bandcamp links, whatever you have there, social media, in case you get you interested in any of these bands. Now off you go and stop watching, start listening. Off you go. Bye bye.